Welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour. And welcome back to another horrible, damp, misty autumn October evening as we get nearer the date in the calendar, 31st October, Halloween. So in this evening's Hancock's VMware Half Hour, I'm going to return to an old friend and product that I've been using for a very, very, very long time. And I think this is the first time that I've done a video on the product itself. I've done a few articles on the vendor, and we've skirted around the product, and I may have mentioned the product before. So the product that we're going to look at this evening, surprise, surprise, eventually is the Veeam data platform, or more specifically, Veeam Backup and Replication 12. Now there are 12.2 specifically. Now there is a reason that I want to cover this today, because Veeam are about to launch a new free product. It's currently in tech preview. I believe it's going to be a free download for you to use. And we'll do that in the next video. But the prerequisite for that is it's only supported by Veeam Backup and Replication 12. And currently, we use Veeam Backup and Replication 11.0 or 11.x. Can't remember specifically what it is, but we use Veeam Backup and Replication in production, and it's 11.x. And I looked earlier, and it wasn't working. So, in this video today, this short video, we've rapidly deployed a new Windows Server 2022. It's a virtual server. It's actually installed on our production environment. This one, it's not on EE Lab 1, it's not on EE Lab 2, and it's not on EE Lab 3. This is actually basically sitting on our production environment, which in fact, actually, to be honest with you, really, it might be production, but it's a little bit poorly at the moment because there is one node, one vSAN node that's out of the cluster at the moment that is in repair. It's a bit sick. But anyway, so this is a... this isn't going to replace our production backup environment. This is really just a test for shits and giggles, see what it's all about. So I thought, okay, let's just capture this in a video, get it up to YouTube, get it up to Experts Exchange. For those of you that have not ever heard of Veeam Backup and Replication 12.2, and to be honest, really, if you have a VMware vSphere environment, if you have a Hyper-V environment, even if you have a Promox environment today, because one of the latest features now in Veeam Backup Replication 12.2 is it now actually supports Promox as well. So if you've never heard of it, then, well, you must have been living under a rock. Anyway, so without further ado, let's get on and install it. So all I've done is deploy a standard Windows Server 2022. It is fully patched, and I've just mounted the Veeam Backup and Replication ISO, which interestingly, Veeam Backup and Replication 12.2, the ISO is actually 12 gig. I'm not quite sure whether or not that they did that deliberately, but I think it must, other than Fortnite, I think that it must be one of the largest ISO downloads I think I've downloaded. Certainly VMware vCenter server is getting very close, but a 12.2 gig download. Anyway, so that's mounted in this virtual machine, and I'm going to click install. So I've not done this before. This is sort of kind of record. It will be recorded, but this is live. I'm not going to chop and edit it so that it all looks like it's going to work swimmingly, warts and all. and we'll have a little basically see whether or not that this is just going to work absolutely perfectly on installing it and then connecting it to our VMware vCenter server. And then we'll just run a test backup, and then we'll do the next video, and then we'll come back and we'll do some configuration in using that. So I'm going to install Veeam Backup and Replication. So initializing the setup wizard, please wait. So this must be this actual virtual machine is actually running on Flash. It's all out of Flash, so it should be faster than spinning Rust. Should be faster than our hybrid vSAN. Seems slow to me. Maybe this environment that it's running on. As I said, we are one node down at the moment. So I'll just put this on pause. I'm not going to basically cut and paste and speed this up in post. And we'll come back when it's doing something else. Tell you what, I've changed my mind. I'm going to disappear. I'm going to capture all this and I'll speed it up all in post. And we can then actually basically have a little look at what is going on. So so I'll be back shortly when something happens. Back. Okay, something has changed. Okay, we have to accept the license agreement. So I'm going to click I accept. Okay, so we can now sign in with Veeam. We can now browse to a local license file. We'll use the community edition. We do have NFRs. And again, if you are a VMware vExpert, you can obtain an NFR. And Veeam has a string of people, MVPs, etc., that are also entitled to NFRs as well. Update license automatically enables usage reporting. Let's just turn that off. Veeam EULA prohibits using communication to provide any services to third parties. In particular, you may not install, configure, or manage such backup servers at your client's environment as a consultant or an MSP. It's an interesting one. As I said, it's a long time since I've done an installation of Veeam Backup and Replication. It's not really a product that we're seeing being used a lot by big organizations now. You know, ArcServe, Coheisty, Rubrics, you know, are ones that are quite commonplace. But anyway, the last time I did an installation of 11, I certainly didn't see a Veeam EULA prohibits using the communication to provide any services to third parties. Okay, so that just sort of kind of forces the issues that you've got to use a trial. Anyway, so I'm going to click next. Evaluation free and NFR license require license auto update to be enabled. Okay, so there we go. They want to track what we're doing. So let's click next. Could be that I've not allocated enough cores to this particular virtual machine. We will see. Okay, so it's enabling missing features. So these are prerequisites that need to be added, roles or services to your server. A lot of the time could be .NET, could be HTTP, could be SQL. So we'll disappear and we'll come on back shortly. Okay, so we're ready to install. It clearly didn't add any missing items on this server, which surprised me. I noticed that the database engine now has changed to Postgres rather than MySQL or MySQL Express, which is a change. So I'm going to click install. So now we're going to do, what's this, AI powered malware detection. Okay, so again, I will speed all this up in post, and I'm going to disappear. You don't want me waffling on for the next 30 minutes, so I shall just disappear and come back. Success! Veeam Backup and Replication 12.2 successfully installed. 35 minutes. Might need to have a little tweak of those vCPUs. It might speed it up a bit. Okay, so I'm going to click finish. And if you've not actually used Veeam Backup and Replication before, then the Veeam Backup and Replication console is the small application that you can install on a workstation. We're actually on the server at the moment, but I can install this particular application on my workstation so I can connect direct. So I'm going to click connect, and that's actually basically can connect to the Veeam Backup and Replication server. The license is the Community Edition. The banner there, Veeam Backup and Replication 12, looks exactly like the Veeam Backup and Replication 11 dialog banner. So we'll just wait for that to get going until we get to our screen where we can. Oh, okay, it's okay. This we have detected that your DPI scaling level setting is different from 100%. Okay, fine. That's just telling me that it might look horrible. So this all looks similar and different in what I'm sort of kind of used to. Backup infrastructure, inventory. So let's have a little look at our backup infrastructure, our backup repositories. Okay, so we have a default backup repository that it's already created in C backup. Don't have a lot of space there, mind. So that's okay. That's been created by default. So the only thing that we have to do now is to add our VMware vCenter server. So we go to add server, and there we go. There's our lovely Promox VE, Nutanix, Microsoft Hyper-V, Red Hat Virtualization, Oracle. So we're using VMware vSphere, we're using vCenter server. So I'm going to type R vCenter server dot vCenter.sars-consultancy.uk. Again, I'm using FQDNs. I'm going to create some administrator at vSphere local. Okay. Like if you were doing this in a production environment, that you may want to create your own Veeam service account for this. Yep, it's going to come up basically and talk to me about the certificate, which is okay. And one of the things that we have actually found, of course, every now and again is if you do change the certificate or renew the certificate on your VMware vCenter server and you're in mid backup or you're doing lots of backups, sometimes it can actually basically fail because it's not trusted that certificate. So just bear that in mind if you're having to reset certificates or recreate certificates. If you're using a backup technology which is reaching out to vCenter server, it's probably likely to fail with that certificate trust. So it's collecting disks and volumes. Okay, that looks good. And whilst that's finishing, whilst I've been mid video, I've just been looking at an Experts Exchange question. vCenter 7 patch stuck at 27%. I have vCenter and tried to patch it using the GUI. It got stuck, wasn't able to stop it. I rebooted, it came back up 27%. Is there any way to cancel the patch? No, not really. But my response really was, okay, so as if you've watched my videos before, you will see, and I did a video this afternoon on patching 7.0S to 7.03T, and I'm a great advocate of 1, use VAMI to get a backup of your database. 2, snapshot VMware vCenter server. And 3, if you've got VDS, export the VDS configuration. If your vCenter server patch upgrade goes peak tong, you have got the ability to roll back. You've got a number of mechanisms. You can revert the snapshot, try again. And you've also got the ability to reinstall vCenter server and restore the backup. Now, in this particular case, they had no snapshot, they had no backup, they had NAFL. And as I sort of kind of said to them, well, you know, oh dear, shame on you, because now you're in a bigger mess, really, because you're going to have to redeploy VMware vCenter server. Okay, it's not a big deal. What can become a bigger issue is, okay, you reinstall VMware vCenter server. It's not going to affect the current running VMs at all. Add the host back to VMware vCenter server, all well and good. But as we're talking about backups, now you're going to need to add the VMware vCenter server back to your existing Veeam backup console. And you're going to have to recreate the jobs again, because the likelihood is all those virtual machines that you're currently backed up have got different ref IDs now to this new environment, because you've got a brand new VMware vCenter server, different certificate. It's going to think that all those virtual machines are different. And when you run your first backup, it's going to be a full backup, and that's going to take a lot of storage. And I've seen this before, whereby this has been done and people then get into a mess because they haven't actually got the storage to complete their first backup, which means they've then got to delete all their backups. And then that actually basically leaves them in a very dangerous position, that they've got absolutely nothing until they've actually basically captured that environment. All because you didn't snapshot and back up your database. So, you know, guys and girls out there, you know, heed my warning. I don't like snapshots personally, but snapshot before you upgrade, and get a backup of that VAMI database. Okay, so I'm going to click finish. So we've got a job running. Okay, so it's sort of kind of doing some host discovery. We've got our vCenter server database there. So I was actually going to do the next bit of the configuration actually after I'd done the next video. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do the configuration now and explain what I'm doing. And then we'll do a video on how we deploy it. So with that, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually basically going to configure a community preview that I think is about, it's in tech preview at the moment. I think it's about to go beta 1, then maybe beta 2, and then it will be released in GA. And that is a community hardened Linux repo for Veeam Backup and Replication. Now, my friend and colleague at Experts Exchange, Gustav, wrote a very excellent article in about 12 parts on how to create a hardened backup repository for Veeam Backup and Replication. And I've seen many other articles that have been written as well on how to create them. So Veeam have obviously decided that they want to create their own hardened repository that they're also going to support, I believe, as well. I'm not quite sure they'll support the community edition, but maybe there is some support wrapped around it. So this is the reason why that I'm keen to run 12, because I actually basically want to start having a look at their hardened repository. So we've already deployed that on a virtual machine, but it's an ISO, so you can deploy it on bare metal. And we'll do a video on that, on how to deploy it. But here, a bit backwards, I'm going to show you how to add it as a repository, and we'll back up to it as well. So we click Add Backup Repository. We click Direct Attach Storage. We click Linux Hardened Repository. Now, I think this is an option that wasn't available in 11. So I'm going to call it our Hardened Backup Repository 1, followed by Next. Now we need to add a repository server. And apparently this does need to be a FQDN and not an IP address, I'm told. So our hardened repository, the community hardened repository, is cyrus-repo1 cyrus-consultants.co.uk, followed by Next. You single use credentials. So I'll show you this when we deploy in the next video. But effectively, you enable a one-off SSH connection. So I'm basically just going to add the name service account, which is Veeam service, and I'm going to enter the password. It's an awkward password, so I do apologize why I'm quiet, but that probably gives you a chance to think, don't have to listen to his annoying voice anymore. Now, this is just used once to actually basically log into the machine. And once we've actually basically finished with this, after the configuration has been done, then we actually basically go back to the appliance and we stop it. So this is a one-time sign-in use credentials, followed by Next. And it's going to do and check an SSH connection. Do you trust this server? Yes. It's going to check the SSH connection, and supply password is incorrect. Let's just interesting. On the last version of Veeam, I could actually go in and edit. Okay. I'm not too sure how it's going to be, like the fact that I'm going to have to add it again. Veeam SVC, VEEAM, VEEAM, VEAM SVC. Okay. I think I mistook. Well, we'll see. I think I mistook the letter O for a 0. I think. If this doesn't work, we'll get the password regenerated. Okay, it's it must have successfully, because it's actually basically moved on now to it will be installed. So we click apply. This is what fails with 11.x. It doesn't like this. Now the article that Gustav wrote does work with 11 because we followed that article many times and we've deployed lots of immutable hardened repos. And of course, this is all the fashion at the moment now of ensuring that your backup repo is air gapped or cannot be attacked should you have a malware attack on site. And I understand that this particular repo, you cannot delete the restore points at all until their retention time has expired. So if you're backing up to it and somebody gets on site, they cannot erase your backups. That's the point. That's the theory. So using a virtual machine as a backup repository, I suppose, does actually basically come with its risks. If your ESXi host becomes attacked, somebody gets in, somebody encrypts all the data stores, somebody turns off or deletes that virtual machine, then all of your backups have then disappeared as well. So a physical server is certainly in order, bare metal. And we've got a few bare metal servers here, and I've got a few bare metal servers racked up in the data center that are spare at the moment. So I'm very tempted because they've got some large storage spaces on them to actually basically put the ISO in one of those next week, maybe if I get a chance. And configure up one of them using this preview. Although I think the tech preview is about to go into beta 1, and I think that there has been some mention of some potential issues you may actually experience with beta 1 now. I'll have to read through. Anyway, I've waffled on enough. Let me disappear and wait for this to finish. Just as he says that, it finishes, followed by next. So I'm going to click finish. I'm going to click populate, and hopefully that's actually going to this is only a small server that we've got here. It's only got 100 gig for the OS and 100 gig for the repository, so it's only small. Okay, so I've just actually selected the mount Veeam repository 01, and then I've browsed that on. I've browsed the Linux machine using the browse option there. Browse, yeah. So I've actually basically selected. It'll load the content, and for those of you who are familiar with Linux, then that will look completely familiar. And then the Veeam repository is there. And we click populate, and it actually basically shows us capacity, which is 100 gig because it was a 100 gig disk that we created, and free space is 99. And the keen-eyed amongst you there will notice that it uses fast cloning on XFS. God, I've been drinking. Which is the recommended partition type, and fast cloning if you've been using your own homebrew solution to do this. It's followed by next. say XFS, the XFS partition is part of this hardened repository. Mount server's okay. So we're going to click next and we're going to click apply. And it's obviously going to go off and do some stuff. So whilst it's doing that, I'm just going to bob off and I'll come on back. Or is it going to finish by then? I'll disappear. And what we'll do, I said I was going to do it, but I'm going to speed all that up in post because you don't really want to be watching 30 minutes of Veeam backup installation installing. So let's start a backup. That's what we wanted to do. Let's start a backup. Okay. So I've added the Linux server Cyrus Minimum Server 1, which in fact actually is, I forget the name now. It's a Linux server that actually provides UPnP type DNLA to one of my DACs here, one of the many DACs here. It's a bit of a funky thing that allows basically my music collection, which are all MP3s, which I predominantly use with Logitech Squeezebox. But the Logitech Squeezebox technology LMS is getting a bit old fashioned these days. Anyway, so the backup proxy are going to lead to automatic selection. I've changed to the hardened backup repository. The retention period 7 days. We've got 99.2 gigs, followed by next, apply. That looks exactly the same as 11. Run the job and finish. So I'm going to click finish, and hopefully we will start to see a job running. There's our job, and I'm just going to scroll down a bit there. Just wanted to, why? I was trying to expand the box, but for some strange reason I keep doing that, and all that happens is that okay, maybe my machine. Okay, that's a bit better. Okay, so we'll wait for that to start. I'm hoping that we'll get a backup. Okay, I'm hoping that we'll get a backup of that server, and we don't get any error messages. So what have we got here? Production data store is getting low on space. Yes, okay. Okay, so the backup is running. And it's sending it to that immutable data store. Brilliant. Okay, so that's really all I've got to show you in this video of Veeam Backup and Replication, installing and configuring, and adding our hardened community edition repo from Veeam. And if you come back for the next video in Out About Face, I'll show you how we install that ISO. So you can take this immutable repo for a test drive as well. So again, thanks so much for watching. If you're watching on Experts Exchange, then please endorse. If you're watching on YouTube, then please subscribe and hit the like button. The stats and the views and the likes and the subscriptions are slowly increasing. Again, so thanks so much for watching these videos. and all the best, and good night from me.